Next on Newsmax Prime, he's been concentrating on Iowa and New Hampshire. But tonight, Donald Trump rolls into Alabama. Meantime, Jeb Bush reels from the Trump advance, trying to rebound and go on the attack. We'll have the latest from the campaign trail. Plus, our current commander-in-chief fails to inspire. A new poll says more than half of Americans now label the Obama presidency a failure. We'll discuss the reasons why as Newsmax Prime for Friday, August 21st starts now. Good evening and welcome to Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Of prime interest tonight, the bigger, the better, the Donald. As Donald Trump prepares for a rally at a football stadium in Alabama, he continues to command the spotlight. Miranda Khan has more from our Newsmax Prime newsroom. Miranda?
JD, Trump mania continues to take hold all across the nation. This as Jeb Bush is starting to raise the stakes in his own campaign in order to just keep up.
The people are speaking. It's an amazing thing. It's like a movement. And this is happening and so many other things. On Friday, I'm going to be in Alabama, and it was going to be 500 people, and the room held about 1,000, and they heard that we were there. And within about 2 minutes, that room wasn't big enough. So they went to a room that held 2,000 people, and they heard that wasn't big enough. And now they went to the convention center and they heard that wasn't big enough. They're going to end up being 30 to 40,000 people in Alabama.
Meanwhile, Jeb Bush came out swinging yesterday in Keene, New Hampshire, taking a more aggressive approach in trying to disprove Mr. Trump's claims of him being a low-energy candidate. Take a listen.
I have fought for Republican and conservative causes all of my adult life. And I just think when people get this narrative, whatever the new term is, the compare and contrast narrative, then they're going to find that I'm going to be the guy that they're going to vote for. And it's a long haul, man.
Not exactly words we're expected to hear coming from the former Florida governor as he's starting to show signs that Mr. Trump's candidacy is putting pressure on him and forcing him to become more vocal. Mr. Trump was on Alabama radio ahead of his rally tonight, and he explained why he believes people like what he has to say, even in the South.
I'm no different than anybody else. And I really have, I've been a very, very successful person. And that's what people want. And I don't say that in a bragging way. I've made a lot of money. I put in my numbers and they say $10 billion, over $10 billion. And that's not as like a bragging thing. They want that mentality. We need that mentality.
Never one to shy away from making controversial remarks or being a bragger, Donald Trump took aim at former Maryland Governor and Democrat Martin O'Malley, who recently apologized for comments that he made that, quote, all lives matter. Trump said he did not need to say he was sorry and said, quote, he apologized like a little baby. And that's the problem with our country. JD, back to you.
Thanks, Miranda. For more on this story, let's bring in our panel. First, via telephone, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York and health policy expert, Betsy McCaughey. And joining us via Skype, Democratic media strategist Franco Ripple. Franco's also the vice president of KATECOM Communications, or KATECOM Public Relations, I should say. To you both, thanks for spending your time here with us on Newsmax Prime. Before we get to political poll numbers, we need to take a look at some financial numbers this afternoon. A serious drop on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 531 points. That's a loss of over 3% of its worth there. And we lay that out as a predicate for politics. Donald Trump is a billionaire. Will this, metaphorically speaking, help his stock go up even as Wall Street experiences difficulties? First to you, Betsy.
Yes, absolutely. Americans are waking up to the fact that we have not had a recovery, that America is in the economic doldrums, and the current politicians in Washington, Republican and Democratic, including our president, have done nothing to address the deep concerns of Americans that they can't make a living and that their children don't have a bright economic future. And this man, Donald Trump, is electrifying the nation. It is the best thing that has ever happened to the Republican Party.
And conversely, Franco, for Hillary Clinton, a whole lot of Wall Street money coming to her, even though her message is she's for everyday folks. With someone like Bernie Sanders in the race, does it strengthen his hand to see this problem on Wall Street today?
Well, first of all, with all due respect to the lieutenant governor, today's slide on the market, painful to see, has, I think, comparatively little to do with America and its economic policies. This has been part of a week-long slide that I think largely has to do with international economics, has to do with China having a major slowdown in their economy and slowdown in their growth rate, has to do probably also with some lasting instability from the Greek crisis. But, you know, again, Betsy says that Donald Trump's the greatest thing to happen to the Republican Party and for economic policy. I don't know how much I want a guy who's been bankrupt, or his companies have been bankrupt 4 times running the American economy. I'll take my chances with somebody else.
All right, let me get to some other numbers.
Wait a minute, Dickie. I want to address
very quickly because go ahead.
I want to address the fundamental issue he raised about Wall Street. If you look at the number of part-timers, the decline of this economy, which is now reflected in the precipitous slide on Wall Street, the fact that we don't have enough productivity. They're not hiring people full-time. This president has beleaguered this nation with regulations and taxes that are destroying opportunity.
All right, now let's go to a new poll conducted via telephone by Rasmussen. The numbers reinforce what Donald Trump's been saying. In fact, 57% of likely Republican voters expect Donald Trump to be the GOP nominee, while almost half the country of all likely voters say that will be the case. Betsy, what do these new numbers from Rasmussen tell you?
Well, I can tell you one thing, that stadium in Alabama is going to be filled with many people who have never voted in a Republican primary before. Primary turnout is very low generally. And one of the reasons Donald Trump is so good for the party is that he's getting people to pay attention who have really given up on politics.
It used to be that we thought celebrities were forever joined with the Democrat Party. Franco, though people tried to demean Mr. Trump and a level of celebrity he has achieved in this country, a whole lot of people are interested in what he has to say. Are you one of those Democrats that say, oh, yeah, bring on Donald Trump, he's the perfect guy to beat? Or are you starting to realize that Trump is a legitimate political threat, not so much to Republicans, but to the Democrats as well?
JD, I'm not ready to espouse that line yet, that Donald Trump is a threat to be president or to beat a Democrat for president, because the numbers don't bear it out. And the problem with poll numbers is that people only look at the top lines. They don't dig down into the data, where that Rasmussen poll that came out today showed that 42% of Republican likely voters, again, not just registered voters who are casual, but likely voters, say that he will not be the nominee. And further, a CNN ORC poll that just came out a day or so ago showed that Donald Trump has only gained 5 points with white voters in that latest poll. More to the point, Hillary Clinton still leads him by 6, leads Jeb Bush by 9 points, leads the only other woman in the race, Carly Fiorina, by 10. I think she's in a good position, and I think that Trump is weaker than he looks.
Well, the whole matter of intensity is something we'll talk about in the future. For now, time has caught up with us. We'll have to leave it right there. Franco Ripple on the left, Betsy McCaughey on the right. We thank you for your time. Now, the cap that Donald Trump's been wearing on the campaign trail and at campaign stops, blazing out his Make America Great Again slogan, has become a sensation. And you can get your very own Make America Great Again cap, a $25 value, free with this offer. You just pay shipping and handling. Go to newsmax.com/TrumpCap or call 1-800-933-8396. Still to come, as Donald Trump continues his climb, Hillary Clinton still sees fallout from the Servergate scandal. John Gizzi and John Fund weigh in. Then later, jihadists are waging war against Christians around the world. The Archbishop of Erbil, Iraq, will bring us the latest from that region. And a new poll is out on how Americans feel our president is handling the Iran agreement and the battle against ISIS. Fred Flights will review the results. That and more as Newsmax Prime continues.
Newsmax Prime is brought to you by Lear Capital, America's precious metals leader since 1997.